Right now I'm in southeastern Arizona in an area that probably looks a lot like it did in the 1870s. In 1877, a teenager calling himself Henry Antrim, who was wanted for theft in New Mexico, moved to this area looking to start a new life. By August of that year, he was on the run for killing a man and on his way to becoming the legendary outlaw, Billy the Kid. Hey everyone, welcome to Sidetrack Adventures. This is Steve. I've always been fascinated by Billy the Kid. So today we're heading towards Bonita, Arizona, which is where Billy the Kid killed his first person. Now this area is pretty remote. We're out in the middle of nowhere right now, and I've been standing out here for a few minutes filming, and not a single other car has passed me the entire time we've been out here. As you can see, it's just all scrub brush and farmland out here. But we're about, I don't know, maybe 10 miles or so from Bonita right now. So let's get back on the road and go check out Bonita, Arizona. Behind me is the Bonita store. Now this is the location where a young 16 or 17-year-old Billy the Kid and local bully Frank Cahill got into an altercation that ended with Cahill losing his life and Billy on the run back to New Mexico. Now, this store wasn't here in 1877 when this happened. There was a saloon at this location. This store is actually pretty old, though. It was built in 1882, supposedly. So let's take a look around the store a little bit. As best we can, there is a fence. It is private property. But let's take a look around, and we'll talk a little bit more about the fight that ended up with Cahill dead and Billy's first kill. There isn't much at Bonita, Arizona these days, nor has there been for a while. The post office here shut down in 1955, but if you were here in the 1870s, because of how close it was to the Army's Fort Grant, it was a somewhat happening place with saloons, gambling halls, brothels, pretty much anything you'd expect to find in an Old West town. In September 1875, a young Billy the Kid was jailed for robbing a Chinese laundry in New Mexico. He escaped jail after 2 days and eventually made his way to Arizona. Here in Arizona, he began working as a ranch hand and became known as Kid Antrim because of his youth, slight build, clean-shaven appearance, and personality. Francis Cahill was from Ireland and was working locally as a blacksmith. It is said that he got the nickname Windy because he was a blowhard and a bully. Apparently, one of the people he really liked to bully was the Kid. On August 17, 1877, both Billy and Cahill were at the saloon that once stood on this spot, and Cahill called Billy a pimp, which in the days before Snoop Dogg was apparently a pretty bad insult, and Billy in turn called Cahill a son of a bitch. That caused Cahill to jump Billy and to throw him to the ground, supposedly right about where that tree is now. Pinned to the floor by the stronger man, Billy apparently panicked. He pulled his pistol and shot Cahill. After he was killed, Cahill was buried in the local cemetery, so let's head over there next and see if we can find his grave. You have to drive down a dirt road to get to the cemetery, and we've come to our first obstacle. The road is washed out in front of us. Now, we don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle with us today, so we're parking and we're gonna make it the rest of the way on foot, I guess. Of course, this sign's on the other side of the creek that's going across the road. After fording a river, we've made it over to the Bonita Cemetery, so let's head on in and see if we can find Mr. Cahill's grave. I believe Billy the Kid's Historical Coalition put up a new gravestone not too long ago, so hopefully it won't be that hard to find, but let's head in and check it out and see what else there is to see in the Bonita Cemetery. The weather looks a little gloomy, but it certainly fits this setting. There sure is lots of space here. Based on the number of people in the area, it's probably a bit optimistic. It looks like we found the grave we're looking for right over here. And here's the new headstone for Francis Cahill. Cahill was shot in the stomach and didn't die until the next day. Even though it sounds like the shooting could have been considered self-defense, especially when you think about the generally loose laws about this sort of thing in the Old West, because Cahill hadn't pulled his own gun, it was considered criminal. After shooting Cahill, Billy was taken to Fort Grant, but he escaped before law enforcement could arrive. He headed back to New Mexico, where he then took part in the Lincoln County War, and the rest is history.
You know, I was just thinking of something. Like a lot of people, I think, my first introduction to Billy the Kid was through the Young Guns movies when I was a kid. And in the first movie, there's a scene where they're sitting around the dinner table and a couple of the guys are making fun of Billy and they say, "Oh, Billy, we're just hacking on you." And then Charlie Sheen's character brings up that Billy had killed somebody and they ask him, you know, what reason did he kill the person for? Why did he kill somebody? And Billy says, "'Cause he was hacking on me." Well, Frank Cahill is the guy that was hacking on Billy that's mentioned in the movie.
While Cahill has a new tombstone, others here aren't so lucky. And there's some new graves over there. The view from this cemetery is great, and I can't imagine it's changed much in the last 150 years. It probably looks a lot like it did the day Cahill was buried here.
This isn't related to Billy the Kid, but I've seen some creepy things in cemeteries before. But this here has to be near the top, this swing set here. Every once in a while the wind will blow and the swings will start moving on their own. And yeah, this is definitely something I've never seen in a cemetery before.
This grave has no marker, whoever it belongs to, and I'm not sure why there's a water tank next to it either.
That's our look at Bonita, Arizona, and the first person Billy the Kid killed. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.